Waiting. So, number of certifications. So where are you currently located?
In Dublin.
Oh, fine. Okay, so Laya, could you please go through your resume, explain yourself, and tell me about your daily activities, responsibilities as a DevOps engineer?
Yeah, definitely coming to my roles and responsibilities, I've got more than 3 years of experience as cloud DevOps engineer responsible for working on the DevOps automation, setting up on Docker containers and Kubernetes, working on deployments and CI/CD pipelines, and also worked with experience on working on the Python and the Unix environments and good experience in working with the code of containerization, virtualization, orchestration and deployment. Also got good experience in setting up Visual Studio and GitHub integrations inside that working with the third party in terms of Python orchestration which is got 3 there and working with the remedy. So in the cloud DevOps engineer with DevLogic Solutions in Pune. India was working from May 2020 to present working on some of the Puppet configuration management, setting up the Ansible playbooks and deployments, setting up the SDLC lifecycle and where he will Puppet configuration management which was done. I was also work experience on various kinds of SDLC on system environment and good experience in on highly available systems setting up auditing systems and deployment inside that also working on the scalable and highly available systems being a prominent role in monitoring and auditing systems. I was also working with the change of management understanding on the entire service deployment which is done on the STLC services which are created. I also got some experience with the source code integration of these high-level systems and say that working with the code customization deployment API, but with the same of the CI/CD integration which was done there. I also got some experience in the change management data filing on the backend side and releasing them on the customer service.
Okay, great. So can you just tell me like what all other tools you used in your this project where you're working currently?
So basically coming to with a project that actually working on the responsible Jenkins and CI/CD tools with various kinds of GitHub interface using webhooks using Maven built to level of season Kubernetes and Docker containers working with the GitHub integration environment. I also got to build environment and releasing them on the customer services on the Docker API and I was also responsible for working with the CI/CD pipelines on the and deployment promoting the code on the Docker is deployment side of the role like based on the access control getting the approvals from various stakeholders about the various kinds of Docker API which is promoted and validating the custom services of the access control data.
Okay, so you are working on Jenkins, GitHub, Kubernetes, Docker, and API technologies, and anything else? If I missed, yeah, I heard you also mention about Remedy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. And in cloud services, which cloud you have used, AWS or Azure the most?
Mostly the AWS, I have some basic experience on the cloud, which has been in a responsible working in the Azure cloud setting up. There are various kinds of pipeline data which was promoted, and the customer is the service aviation deployed was also with the Azure, the CI/CD pipeline as well as
Okay.
Azure DevOps.
So Azure and AWS both.
Yeah.
Right. All right. And you have also worked on Linux servers, right?
Yeah.
So on a daily basis, can you just tell me like what all other commands you run on Linux servers?
Yeah, so basically coming to the Linux service, actually have run various kinds of commands like cd, rm, mv and chmod, cron tab and duls and df, strengths and ip root, if configuration.
So can you just tell me like have you ever heard about nohub command?
Yes, it's actually a command which helps us to run various kinds of like processes in the backlog. So it's actually a short for no hand up. It's a coming command Linux that keeps running even after the existing in the way. Shallow the treatment in the actually like which prevents the processes from receiving the signal to hang up. This is a signal that
Okay.
is sent.
Okay. And in Git, you mentioned that Git and GitHub you're using. So can you just tell me, like for example, in Git, have you ever heard about webhook?
Yeah.
So why do we use webhook?
Yeah, actually using the webhook in previous projects. So basically webhook is nothing but a way be able to automatically trigger the pipeline to save that, so that the book is primarily used for kind of drugs in the pipeline automatically inside that. This is one of the things which allows us to deploy the application to the runtime environment, so that it is the one thing, so that on the primary things apart from that also.
Okay, and can you just tell me, like, if I want to check all the branches, local branches as well as the repository branches, online repository, so remote repository. So what would be the command to check all the branches?
uh, git remote ls, git branch and git branch iphone list.
Okay, and can you just tell me, like, I just want to, have you ever configure any settings in Git as a new user?
Yeah.
So what are the commands do you remember to configure a new user in Git as a local, in your local system?
Yeah, I have been configuring using the command, I would like to say, so that allows users to various kinds of things. So this is a convenience function which is used to configure values on a global or local project level. The
So
configuration
what are the
value.
commands? Commands. I want to know what are the commands that we run to add a new user that we can able to get access in the remote repository.
Yeah, it's a git configure hyphen global user dot email,
Mhm.
like example user hyphen email at example.com,
Mhm.
and git configure hyphen global and mesh dot tool kd diff3
Okay.
and git configure global color.ui false.
Okay. Have you ever faced any Git merge conflicts in your company?
Yeah.
So can you just tell me what is the actual cause of it and how did you resolve it?
So the mesh conflicts are common in our environment. So first of all, it actually misses the automation merging feature. So conflict arises when two separate branches have made edits on the same line in a file, or which a file have been deleted in one branch but edited in other two branches. Two conflicts are mostly like happen when working in a team environment. In this case, the merge conflict which actually takes place, which is unable to automatically resolve the differences in code between two commits. So git merge can be done better taking the to the person individually and then on the local side, which can also talk to developers and other things equals to actually tells us which file they want to keep and also resolve the most conflicts inside the runtime. So make sure that we are able to change the most content and data.
Okay, for example, let me give you a scenario here. Uh, I have updated, some minor things in the script, and I just wanted to push the changes in the repository. So, what would be my commands for that to push the file in repository?
Yeah, git add dot and git commit -m
Mm-hmm.
might commit and git push -u organ or origin master
Mm-hmm.
and git push. That's all.
Okay, so if the changes has been updated in the remote repository, then again I want to revert back and make the previous changes again.
Yeah.
So how can I do that?
Like a git recovery commit id and again id add and push.
Okay, so I have to make the changes again, and I have to uh, first I have to make the changes in the file. Then I have to write the command git add space dot, right?
Yeah.
And then git commit, then git push, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So for example, I just want to commit and hyphen m and don't want to type any message in that. So would that be fine? Because these are the minor changes. Every here and forth, I have to make changes. Every minute I'm making changes. So I don't want to, type any message because it is natural that, if I'm just making a correction of the spelling mistake or something like minor changes like that.
Yeah.
So would that be fine?
Yes, but not recommend because when we do changes, we should add a meaningful stuff. But it's
Okay.
fine, but not recommended then.
Okay. All right. And on Linux, can you just tell me a command where I can check my previous command has ran successfully? For example, that I have ran a no hub command, but I don't know because it is running in the background. So I don't know that the command has been ran successfully or not. So I want to check the status of my previous command. So how can I check that?
It's echo and like a dollar question mark.
And that's it.
Yeah, that's
Right. Okay, and I want to check like a number of files in one of my directory where I have jar files, .sh files, .pov files, different formats I have in that particular directory.
yeah.
But I just only want to check like how many files do I have of jar format, .jar format files.
Yeah, it's find dot -name and star.jar and wc-l and a pipe in between slash,
Okay.
and that is that's it.
All right. So, can you just tell me about Jenkins? Like you created CI/CD pipelines in Jenkins.
Yeah.
So, can you just explain me like what would be the integration part and what would be the deployment part or delivery part in that when you
Yeah,
make the pipelines?
yeah. So basically, coming with the deployment entity to part, it was actually kind of as in the deployment and delivery. I would like to that have the automatic checkout code understandable analysis and which is deployed them and send them. So this is commonly useful for the checkout and static code analysis. And like say that the symptoms to deploy them on the remote mission. So this is something we have got multiple declarative data which has various stages and steps, and say that the stages and steps include uh, but not limited to working on automatic checkout and triggers, and then pipelines are pushed out inside. They don't particularly do integrations and said that. So from there we ain't really able to get the sonar cube and the selenium web driver as well as Jira for creating various terms of service integrations in the pipelines and integrate them with the remote machines inside their own runtime data.
Okay. Can you just tell me the difference between the continuous deployment and continuous delivery?
Yeah, coming to the continuous deployment and continuous delivery, that first of all the continuous deployment is thing between we will be able to deploy all the way to production but not automatically. Minutes continuous delivery is where we actually deployed automatically all the way to products without any manual intervention inside that.
Okay. And in the pipelines, can you just tell me like what the script you used, like in Jenkins file? Have you used declarative script or I mean to say declarative pipelines or scripted pipelines?
Yeah, but I'm only using the declarative script, but I have also written some shared libraries and
Hmm?
scripted pipelines and say that I would
Okay.
like to see on the runtime. So that is thing apart from that also used in the
Mm-hmm.
real time and monitor data which is revealed there. So the central not limited to working in a customized shell everybody in the scripted pipeline API which is dramatic. So we were able to the work on the scripted pipeline so that we can promote the code and also deploy to production and then refuse things again,
Mm-hmm.
and so we don't have to worry about any kinds of service integration layer and so that. So
Great. So can you just share me your screen and open a notepad file? Uh,
yeah. Yeah, but it's not my own laptop, it's office laptop.
oh, oh, no problem. Just open a notepad first and then share your screen. All right. And can you just write it down a scripted pipeline for me where you work on a daily basis?
Yeah, but I am unable to type. Can I?
Uh, I didn't get you.
Yeah,
Hmm?
now you can see that.
Yes, 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 yes. Are you done with that?
Yeah.
Okay. So, so this is the scripted pipeline you run on a daily basis, right?
Yeah.
Like, can you just tell me a concept like what you do in this pipeline?
So in the agents, we are declared on the top level. The agent is
Mm-hmm.
located and then demoed in the applied in the time of allocate. The agent is not included in the time of sections in this case. So then
Okay.
we actually involved before locating the agent, checking the conventions and say they are not application right. So this kind of using the inclusive in data. So this allows us to add the specific timeout inside the aging point, and then it allows
Okay.
to specification data on the timer level. Once it is done, in
Okay.
order to support a wide variety of use cases, and we also had a agent section to support a few different parameters. These parameters can
Okay.
be applied. Sorry.
Okay. So go on.
Your parameters can be applied at the top level and of the block, and then verified at the top level. No agent will be allocated to the entire pipeline. And then we also define and execute the stage in a container to dynamically allocate and allow some specific data points, and they say they are in the application. So in this case, the Docker pool, we actually have the image name which is presented and set the Maven and return the dynamically allotted data. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Laya, I just wanted to know about, like, for example, in a scenario, have you ever faced the agent goes down or agent is offline and the pipeline has been broken like that?
Yeah.
So have you ever faced any issue like that?
Yeah, but a lot of times what will happen in that agent went down because of the pipeline not working. So in this case, we had to go ahead and work with various kinds of specific stakeholders about restarting that specification, as well as the understanding the requirements they are like in terms of getting the service integration, which has a motive here. So it's like looking at how these services are pulled out and say that handling the entire data merge and getting the requirements specified here so that I can say this is the things which really helps us to do that.
Okay. All right. So how do you resolve that issue? I just wanted to know.
So I had the restart agents and sometimes you also go on the check the pin command. He also tries to see if there are any kinds of network issues to that agent which causes problems on the runtime.
I want to know, like, how did you resolve it? Not the cause. How you resolve it and what happened after that?
Okay. Like I resolved it by looking at various kinds of things, like first of all the CPU consumption on that machine, as well as we
Mm-hmm.
cloud define the specific integration environments and settled on that
Okay.
occasion. On data points, we will have some of the cloud-based customer service, which is in the foot, so that really useful for us. We will not also need to define our construction inputs, the customized data which is created and pulled out.
All right. And on a daily basis, can you just tell me, like, what all other commands you ran in Ansible?
Coming to the Ansible playbook, the reason the adult inventory commands on the Ansible to elevate the customization of the source code. So we also get some of the customization which is done for the patch management. So also responsible for working with the customized proportion of the code and make sure that we are able to do blue-green deployment and say that this really help and to get the role-based access control and self environment.
So, do you do the blue and green deployment on a daily basis?
Yeah.
All right. And what commands I want to know you fire in Ansible?
So we are using adult commands like Ansible or life and M, like
Hmm?
Ansible add HOC command and Ansible all -m ping and -h
Okay.
all and Ansible all -m shell -a
Mm-hmm.
and ls
And you also mentioned that you are mentioned that you work in Kubernetes as well, right?
yeah.
So you have a standalone or managed Kubernetes services. Which one you have?
Recently, I have got the managed Kubernetes, which is Amazon Elastic Kubernetes Services, which works on the top of that.
So you have EKS.
Mm.
Okay. And what about Azure? Like your company have both Azure, AWS together in one project or different project?
Yeah, so Azure, we were able to on the work Azure cloud environments, so that applications was going to use for that.
So you have Azure as well, right?
Yeah,
In the project?
yeah.
Okay. Okay. And in Remedy, can you just tell me how can you make any change request? What are the options of making a change request?
So basically coming to the remedy, I would like to say that in the BMC remedy, you can actually make a change request. We can first of all, on the main menu, you can copy the information on existing ticket or open a new
Mhm.
ticket in this case. From there, we can also go add like keywords here. So we can add universal client in the copy change option in the iOS and Android, and we can also go a copy questions on the application, so we can all pull out the risk question and answers so which are not properly the draft screen. So that is done. The next step is delete the location to add it to the runtime environment, and then it will be fine. We can define the priority as well as the requirement analysis, but add execution, and because of that I would like to select.
Okay, and can you tell me in AWS we use S3 as a storage service. So what service we use in Azure?
Yeah, so that it basically the Azure storage blobs which is available here. It's
What is the name of the service?
the curl CURL.
Okay. Okay, so I'm done with this. Lawrence, do you have any questions?
Yeah, sure. Hi, Syed. Hello.
Hey, hi,
Nice.
Lawrence.
Hello. I've just been looking at your resume. Obviously, one of the things you've got on your resume is that you've been automating repetitive tasks in Ansible. Can you tell me what tasks you automated and how they supported the operations teams?
Yeah, basically an automated the task for doing the patching of the Ansible playbook. Apart from that, also automated some of the stuff in terms of defining the automation in terms of the application deployment, which is blue-green deployment. And I also did some automation in getting the.
In getting
Yeah, it's primarily defining the customer's data points. So it was done for making sure that we have data environments and applications work on that. So we're kind of working on the application and work on that. So it was source and animals deployed on the top of that. You are also able to the back of each application deployment, so visit the same code.
so how did you automate that?
So basically, we were responsible for automating that by creating a custom module, and this module at various tasks and place, which were pulled out and say, and Blazor creation is also responsible for handling the place he pulled out on the data points and integrated. So yeah, we were also able to customize modules and adapt labor commands which were pulled out and releasing the integration runtime.
Okay, and what sort of playbooks were there? Who owns those playbooks?
Yeah, so I was who's owning the playbooks are also a board member in the team. I wrote a libraries independent without anyone's help.
So so in terms of those run books, I assume they're used by the operations team on a daily basis, be it L1 through to L2, possibly L3. Can you tell me your interaction with the operations teams in your current role?
Yeah, so basically coming to the interaction team on the current role, I was unbelievable on the welcome with the deployment development teams on a daily basis to understand the requirements as well, get their promo approach. I would like to say that.
Okay. You also noted on your resume that you played a prominent role in alerting. So can you explain what a prominent role is and what you achieved?
Yeah, so I was actually the one who actually responsible for setting up the entire Jenkins file based it through the pipeline. It's the CI/CD pipeline and releasing that on the promotion of the code on the top of the CSC DPI, which has pulled out. I was also working with the container deployments on the role-based access control, sitting servers, integrations, and release management. It's a tender. We're also looking at the containers and out of service, which are automatic.
Okay, how does that relate to monitoring and alerting?
Sorry. So that
Apologies. On your resume, it says that you played a prominent role in configuring monitoring and alerting. So I'm just asking you to explain what you mean by a prominent role. To me, that would be a very senior role in monitoring and alerting. So I'd like to ask what you achieved and how you set it up.
Yeah, that was actually configuring the new relic monitoring agent. So I was responsible for working on the monitoring in teams of setting up the new relic agent as well as the app dynamics agent inside that. I also got the experience of working with the dynamics in new relic agents on the release environment. Was also that we'll be able to source deployment side giving the rules there with the new relic data.
Okay, so in terms of your deployments and your rules, could you tell me what alerting configurations you applied in terms of rules and why?
Yeah, so these were rules of for more than 80% of the CPU utilization. You would get specific alert email as well as the DCPA, which is deployed on the specific client side on the alerting systems, which is promoted there on that. So it really helped us to get down the service environments and the client side. So that what will be the customization as well as the deployment side, so this is kind of used on the surface, so which was released on the deployment side again. He pulled out the top of the which they helped us to get this automation, which is released on the deployment lifecycle API.
So that's just CPU monitoring at 80% threshold.
Yeah.
Was there anything else?
Um, we also had the monitoring the application side will visits on the same time. So this is also developed on the CI/CD pipeline so that we don't have to worry about any kind of data points. And I was also able to get the approval. So this is also working at CI/CD orchestration, which has promoted to also getting the alerting released. So systems has the essential APIs down and deployed. So this is really helped us to orchestrate the environmental limit side. We are also were able to the work on the alerted and promoted deployments and essential for further their own time.
Okay. Obviously, you've applied for an SRE role as opposed to a DevOps role.
Mm.
Could you give me your view of what an SRE role is and how it differs to a DevOps role?
Yeah, it is the primarily on the uptime of the systems as well as the various kinds of DevOps orchestration and also uptime and also make sure that the entire system is up and running. So that is one of the thing part of from that also works on the capacity planning as well as the management capacity management, making sure that we have run the service API which is rooted their insight, so really helps us to manage the data with the capacity of the deployment side and released.
Could you tell me a design methodology for ensuring uptime in terms of resiliency and redundancy? Could you give me some examples?
Yeah, I think the design methodologies to make sure that you have debris and deployment inside that. So this is one thing. Apart from that, also make sure that we have fault tolerance and uptime inside the application site. On this is the one thing. Apart from that, also we should able be look at the high level inside the rollout of the application. So which really helps us to make sure.
Apologies, when you say fault tolerance then, can you explain what you mean by fault tolerance?
Yeah, that means we have a bonuses and we also have blue-green deployment across primary and secondary clusters in the application. So this is one thing. Apart from that, you also get primary and secondary cluster and deployment promotion, and also helps us to release the application in standard. We also getting the primary and secondary cluster are up and running. So, and say that.
Did you tell me how active passive differs to active active?
Oh, yeah. So basically activities like we have like active cluster, which is the application data. So in the active cluster, which is primary day on which is self-serving the traffic inside the application, and um, res- apart from that also NT plus 2 will be kinds of user deployment.
Okay. Just finally, I can see on your resume that you support severity 1 issues. Could you give me an example of a severity 1 issue that you worked on?
Yeah, so basically those production downtime because of wrong configuration in production environment and deployment site of data. So there was a manual configuration which was done by one of the users, and this is kind of done because he was not aware about the how the system works, and the kind of concentration was kind of a big problem for us. We had to go and get the service integration which were promoted in incidental application. So we have to roll back these changes in manual, roll back my committing depth of the services and data points. We also had to release the customized integration with the third party, also looking that how we have manual integration is promoting there, and deployed on the top of that handy and the service integration layer, and the get entire release promoted of the top of that, and also
So we're saying a user is allowed to make configuration changes at the infrastructure layer and the application layer?
Yeah, so basically there was a user who actually kinds of really helpful for allowing the user changes in the application side. This is kind really helpful user, and because we could have gone into the systems data on the top of that, they have investigated the user basis customization and deployment, and you are all able to get the user the use cases which were promoted this. So like really help us to give them some temporary access in the roles on the Amazon side, which was kind of really useful for us and deployable on the runtime environments.
Okay. Okay. Do you have experience writing SQL queries?
Yeah.
Can you tell me what generally you'd write and what you'd write them for?
Yeah, have some basic SQL queries. So I mean basically writing some basic SQL queries to find slow queries and the slow query logs, but I'm not SQL developer. And actually, I am a DevOps SRE engineer. So basically, I'm primarily looking at the sum of the basic slow query logs, understanding how the data points are created on the top of that. I think I am primarily a DevOps SRE and not a SQL developers.
Okay, no problem. So as you're primarily an SRE, so you're currently an SRE at the moment.
Hmm.
Can you tell me what you do on a daily basis that relates specifically just to SRE as opposed to DevOps?
Yeah, on the daily basis, I'm responsible for on the SRE stuff. So basically, setting up the monitoring as well as the cloud monitoring and capacity planning. I also do configuration for DNS for the active and
Okay,
task.
so how do you manage capacity planning currently?
So we have an Excel sheet wherein actually keep track of through an automatic script the day requirements and the utilization of services, so that once it is done, it would say we actually start working on the services and make sure that how much of service or more than 80% capacity.
So how many services do you support on cloud? And instances in total?
Yeah, coming to the club, we are supporting more than 15 of the Amazon services. So the net primarily saying supporting more than 15 the Amazon services, setting up LCCI CD pipelines for the development of
Yeah,
this.
I'm just talking specific numbers. So, on average, how many S3 buckets have you got? How many EC2 instances have you got? How many databases have you got, etc., etc.? In total across your services, roughly? Is it 100? Is it 1,000? Is it 5,000?
Yeah, we have got a total 15 services and we have like 1,000 services which are using the Amazon. We have 1,000 services which were actually running there.
Okay, and you monitor all of those services in a spreadsheet?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Okay. Okay, that's it for me. That's it for me, thank you.
Yeah.
Said, I'm happy there.
Yeah.
All right then. Yep. Do you have any questions for us, Laya?
Yeah, what are the
Related to
day-to-day
company?
activities of the company?
It depends on the team and the project which you are going in.
And how many members of their team I would be the part of them?
It depends on the, if they have a different number of teams and projects. So, yeah, so it depends on that.
Yeah, if I got selected this round, how many rounds are there for the next?
That question can be asked by HR, so they can answer you better than us.
Yeah. And what are the team culture in the company?
That is also one of our HR questions.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, then. Thanks. Have a great day. Goodbye. Thanks, Lawrence. Thanks, Lara.
Nice day.
Yeah, have a great day. Bye.